Hello. Hi. I'm HemmsFox. These are my hands. Um, I am going to. Is it running yet? It says that I'm live. It says please stand by, starting soon. Should be going. There we go. Here I am. Hi. I'm HemmsFox. These are my hands right here, and these will be what's doing the cooking today. I'm gonna wait a little while to see anyone else if they're gonna show up. How many people are viewing such and such. So then me making yakisoba. The oven's kind of bare right now. I haven't gotten the stuff out yet. So I've decided that the past I've set the oven up completely with everything that I was going to use, and it sort of ends up sort of clustered. And I was thinking it might be better if I took every individual thing out and showed you guys everything individually and put it up to camera and describe a little bit about it and started from more scratch. Yeah, so this is what I actually look like. Hello. I went out and bought this webcam about a week ago to do specifically this streaming. I hope that didn't just mess up the screen there. No, it didn't seem to. Okay, that'll be in a moment. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait for anyone else to show up to see if they're going to show up. I have the computer off to the side here. I'll be checking this occasionally, just to see, checking chat and everything. So just give it a few more minutes. So I might as well start getting the stuff out right now. While I wait to see who's going to be showing up. Everyone who's in the chat, go ahead and say hello. I know Linograph's there. I posted it on Skype and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and getting everything out. So a little background. Yakisoba is a Japanese dish that is akin to chow mein. In fact, it might be more accurate to say that chow mein is a take on yakisoba, because yakisoba predated chow mein. Chow mein was actually not a very Chinese dish. In fact, chow mein was actually invented in a restaurant in San Francisco when a couple businessmen walked in late at night as they were closing and wanted to be fed. The Chinese restaurant owners had packed everything up, and they said, "Oh, well, just make them something. Just make them something because we go away." And so they just took out everything that they had available, and they started making chow mein based on the concept of yakisoba. Yakisoba is a really simple dish that involves noodles. I buy them pre-cooked because I find it saves me a dish. Yakisoba is pretty much a one-pan dish unless you have to boil the noodles separately. So I buy these pre-cooked. I buy the Maruchan brand, and it comes with the sauce right here, although I use my own sauce. But I add this as well because it adds flavor, all the more of the flavoring. And so it's basically noodles, cabbage, and whatever the heck you else want to throw into it. I'm just going to start getting this stuff out here in general. So I can cook yakisoba with one pan. But first, before I start cooking, I'm going to start chopping up the vegetables, because the meat that I'm going to use is that really thin meat, which cooks very quickly, more quickly than I would have the time to. Oh no. Anything that touches the back of my fridge tends to go completely frozen, and that is very sad for me. I have to skip on the cilantro there because of that. Problem is, if I don't have my fridge up that high, or rather that low, the stuff in the front goes bad too quickly. Basically, you take a cabbage. I don't typically buy this kind of cabbage, but you take a cabbage and you chop it a little bit. I'm going to pause for a minute just to address the chat and address where the heck everyone is. Be right back in just a second. All right, so you start by chopping up the vegetables, because if I were cooking a thicker piece of meat, I'd start cooking the meat right away. But I don't want to end up overcooking anything, because it'll take me a little bit to cook the vegetables. So I like big pieces of cabbage, because this is not the right kind of cabbage. I was having problems with my scooter, which is my only form of transportation, and so I had to go to an American grocery store this time instead of a Japanese or Korean grocery store or a Vietnamese grocery store like I usually do. So I didn't get the right kind of cabbage. It's not the normal cabbage you would use, but I'm having to make do. You'd normally use a much smaller, in a sense, whiter cabbage, which you don't know the name of. So I cut thick pieces like this, and I sort of set them off to the side. That should be enough for this yakisoba. Done with the cabbage for now. And I'll put the cabbage away. Next, what I want to take out is my green onions. I'll chop those up. I did this experiment where I would put these green onions in a container of their own, and they just didn't really stay any more fresh than if I just left them out. In fact, they went bad quicker. So these are chopped fairly large as well. That's enough for that. Now these are going to get put away. That's about one of these stalks a week. Green onions is, of course, pretty much a go-to staple for any Japanese dish. It's in almost every Japanese dish I can think of. At least I know how to cook. That it's either dried or it's fresh, or it's the essence of or something. But it tends to always show up in there. So it's one of those staples that you'll find in any fridge that cooks any Japanese food. Okay, so again, my cilantro touched the back of the fridge, so it's a little bit frozen. So we might be forgoing this, but I have to see just exactly how bad it is. It's not that bad. I'm gonna try it. Might work, might not. It's not gonna ruin anything if it doesn't. It just tastes a little awkward. It's gonna get cooked anyway, so. Those are pretty much the veggies that I put into yakisoba. Oh wait, there's one more. So these little enoki mushrooms are just love. When I made the ramen last week, I put these in at the very end. But in yakisoba, I put these in at the same time. And these aren't exactly a traditional thing to go in yakisoba, but I like putting them in because as you cook them, they blend with the noodles as you're frying the noodles. And so you'll and by blend I mean blend in visually. So they'll all of a sudden just they'll blend in with the noodles, and as you're eating it, you'll all of a sudden find one of them and allow this really varying texture to the noodles while you're eating it. This is a staple dish in Japan. This is sort of the kind of thing you buy. Imagine if you're going to Starbucks and you're buying, you know, their, I don't know, egg mixed sausage or whatever they call it. At Starbucks, it's probably large sausage sandwich in some sort of fancy language. And this is sort of like this is a everyday quick dish. It is actually really quick. I go much slower when I am cooking for you guys, but it's actually something I can make in about 5 minutes. I've been making this dish for about a year as well. This is my second dish. After I moved on from udons, I wanted to know how to make noodle dishes, so I started cooking this. Okay, so now we can add the meat. So with yakisoba, you start with the meat first. I just defrosted this. I just took this out a little while ago, but this is really thin, so it should pretty much defrost in the pan, but it's still pretty frozen, as you can see. Bad foresight on mine. I sort of woke up in the middle of the day, not like woke up from sleeping, but like my mind came awake and I was like, oh hey, it's Monday, I have to stream, I should get some meat out. Wash my hands because I'm cleanly. Oh no, I just left a little bit of water on the computer screen. Boop, boop. Dirt Fusky. Hello, Dirt Fusky. I don't know when you came in here, but oh gosh, someone who can't make it is preparing for a court hearing. Hope it's all okay. Okay, so now I can turn the burner on. I want to make sure I get the right one. I kind of reversed on mine. And I don't want to light the yakisoba noodles on fire, so I'm going to move those. Start that up. Flames going. Again, my rule, not too much, not too fast. Not too high of a heat. Not too fast. Not trying to cook it in 50 seconds. I'm doing my best with this webcam. This camera does not have a ball and socket. It only has up and down movements. So it's kind of the best I can kind of get. But you can see it's kind of steaming. So it means it's cooking. Like I said, not too fast, not too quick. So one of the last things I put in here is, remember those age fish cake balls that I put in the ramen? Well, I have them in more of a flat patty shape as well. And these again are not a traditional item. Yakisoba tradition is cabbage, meat, sauce, green onions. But I take one of these and I cut it up and I throw it in there to fry. And I am going to fry because I am going to add oil to this in a little bit. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to wrap it in a paper towel. Put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. I don't want to cook it. I just want to thaw it so that it will cook nice and well along with the rest of what I got. So just put it in for 30 seconds, let that cook. I can turn the heat up a little bit on this meat because it did go in about half frozen. So turn that flame up a little bit. Eventually, I want to get multiple cameras with multiple angles, and that will be a lot of fun. So everyone who's in the chat, say hi in the chat. Hello, everybody. That was dumb. In the meantime, I can open the noodles here. That's dumb. I can let that sit for a little while. I'm going to put in the twisted tie on it if it's sealed from the top in the first place. Here's the sauce packet. That's going to go in. And I'll take one of these. Let's touch the back of the fridge too. That's okay. It's not completely frozen. It's an old fridge. That meat is starting to cook wonderfully. I can smell it, and I wish you all could smell it too. Put that back in the fridge. I'm going to be a horrible, horrible cook and use a fork on metal to flip these. You could do this in 2 pans if you wanted, but the thing about using the 1 pan is it mixes all the flavor all together really, really nicely. I need to get some scissors. And then I need to cut these open. These are going to go in. Once those are fully cooked, if they're about fully cooked. So I'm going to turn the heat down on these again, so I don't ruin them. Getting better at keeping my hands down here. I'll get that out in a minute. So the next step is move these around a little bit. And the next step, actually, I'm going to cut these a little bit. I don't even need to use that thing. This meat is so soft and so tender, I can just sort of rip it apart like that. And I'm going to cut it into smaller pieces, considering this is not a soup dish. It's a noodle dish. And I'm supposed to eat. There we go. Alrighty, I don't need these anymore. Next step is to add oil. Just a little bit, about that much. That's actually maybe too much. I have a problem where I use a lot of oil. I tend to forget it's not water, which is the next ingredient. I'm going to take a small glass. Actually, not a small glass. Oops, turn the light off. There we go. A measuring cup, and you put about maybe a cup of water. Like I said, I've done this so much I don't use measurements much. We'll add a cup of water in there. About that much water. Because like I said, the noodles are cooked, but they're still partially raw. So we get that up, and we let that get to boiling. Oil and water, of course, don't mix, but that's good in this case because what will happen is the oil will heat up as it's in the water, and the water will evaporate and still leave behind the oil. And you just slide that in there, and it both boils and fries at the same time. It doesn't end up really hard like chow mein does, where it's almost chewy. It does kind of still have the consistency of like a ramen noodle, but yeah, the burner's still on. But it still fries in a sense. This is the way at least I learned how to do it. I have to break it apart. Then I'll cook in with the meat. And in a minute, I'll throw the cabbage in. Turn that heat up a little bit. So that steams like that first, and then it boils away. Yes, I know, that's still in the microwave. Okay, breaking my rule a little bit. I'm gonna put the heat all the way up so that it'll boil quicker. Looks good already, doesn't it? Oh, I love this meat. I'm so glad that I found this meat. It's like the most tender, thinnest thing you could ever imagine. I'm so done buying the shoe leather pieces from like, you know, Walmart stores or, you know, Food City or American grocery stores. They're just bad cuts of meat that are incredibly overpriced. You'll see that starting to bubble. You can always like hear it, start to hear it hiss, and start to hear it hiss now. And will be touched in a minute. Basically waiting, leaving that fish cake in the microwave long enough so I can clear some space on my cutting board. It showed me how many people were watching. 6 watching. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's boiling as it should be. The water is good. The water's going to boil away, but the water also takes this sauce package and actually makes it a sauce. Along with sauces, I typically put a small amount of barbecue sauce in it, and that just gives a little bit more extra flavor. This kind of sauce, this package has absolutely no English on it, but it's spicy barbecue sauce, which is really liquidy. The thing most people don't know is that the teriyaki sauce that you buy in the grocery store is not really teriyaki sauce. The traditional idea of a Japanese barbecue sauce is something that is really, really liquidy. Because just like on the picture, basically the idea of Japanese barbecue is you have a small grill, smaller than this pan even, and you have raw meat on a plate to the side. You take the raw meat and the chopsticks and you put it on the grill. You let it cook, and you take it off the grill, and you dip it in this, which is in a small dish about about this big, and you just sort of take the meat and you take the chocolate and you dip it and then you eat it. And you're gonna have, gosh, endless amounts of that. That's actually what this meat is used for. I don't have one of those grills, unfortunately. In fact, ooh, I should buy one. I should buy one of those grills and I should make a video using it. So we're about ready for the cabbage to go in at this point. Throw the cabbage in there. Mix it up, fry it up. Put the enoki mushrooms in there. Really separate these out. The one gripe I do have with these mushrooms is that they don't separate very easily. They do like to stay on the stalk. I could, of course, always cut them shorter, but then they're not noodling. Ow! Ow! Touch the pan. I'm putting this in. Yeah, this cilantro is okay. It didn't really freeze that bad. Just got a little frost on it, like if it were out in the cold evening too long. I want to put the green onions in yet. The leeks. I forget what the Japanese name for them is. I want to put those in yet because those fry too big. I'm going to leave that on top. The thing about yakisoba is it'll take a while to cook the meat, it'll take a while for the noodles to boil away, and then all of a sudden you'll be doing things. And it'll be almost too fast that you're doing things. I gotta cut this thing pretty quickly. I'll cut it into small slivers. Make myself some room here. This can go in now. This entire thing. Get in there. Those noodles starting to stick a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Just a small bit. Not even a second of this thing, because this is going to need some water with which to mix. This is a packet, kind of like you get with a cup of noodle ramen you'd buy for like 50 cents from the grocery store. And mix it into water, but it's got more of a saucy like consistency once all the water boils away. But to me, this is not saucy enough, which is why I have sauce of my own. Yakisoba is one of those things you could get on like a street corner stand, or sort of like either like an appetizer or maybe even a side dish in a restaurant. In Japan, of course, here it's treated as a full meal and you pay full price. But you'll see just what I mean with how liquidy this is. And a little bit goes a long way, so I just pour very little bit in there and mix that around. Clear away some of my stuff here. So I'm done with it. Anything here. That. Time to turn the heat way down on that. For the final step, a generous squirt of this. It's pretty much the last squirts of the bottle. It's this actual sauce version of the exact thing that was in that packet. Had it sitting upside down for a little while. Yakisoba sauce. Is everything for you guys backwards? All the letters and everything backwards? Or is that just for me? That's going to be something I have to look into. Put that up there to remind me to buy more. Mix that up. We're good to go. Yeah, the reason why I don't like the kind of cabbage that I had to buy is because this kind of cabbage is really leafy, as opposed to the cabbage you're supposed to use that you would get in the Japanese or Korean or even Chinese grocery store or Vietnamese grocery store is really thick. So instead of turning into a plate of mush or a plate of chewy lettuce, it keeps its crispness and is actually, you know, a nice crunch. So this is pretty much complete. Spoon that onto the plate in just a minute. Turn the burner off. And there we go. And just the last bits. I hate leaving stuff in the pan. You know, the starving children in Africa thing comes into my head. You know, the stuff your mothers would tell you to make you eat all the food on your plate. Starving children in Africa don't have anything. And I think, oh, well, God, I better eat everything then, because I'm such an entitled first world American. And there we go. That is a yakisoba with a few additions by me, but that is generally how it's supposed to look. In fact, I've never, oh my gosh, it's good. I've never had it in a restaurant as good as I make it. Because like I said, it's mostly a side dish that's sort of treated as just a side dish. It's not sort of given the grand appeal that I like it, because it's one of my favorite things to cook. So it's got a lot of nice flavor in there. It's got cilantro, it's got cabbage, it's got the fish cake in it, it's got the green onions, it's got a little bit of beef, just the right amount of beef. The noodles are perfectly done. And I'm perfectly done. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching HemmsFox Cooks. Please subscribe to my video. I do this cooking every Monday. Occasionally I might get the urge to do it more, but at least every Monday night I cook something and live stream it through YouTube. And I would appreciate it if you guys watched me and clicked like and add on Facebook and tweets and the tumbles and whatever. I'm on basically everything as HemmsFox. And thank you. Good night. I hope I've made you hungry, but I'm also sorry I made you hungry. I wish I could make this for everyone. I love you guys. Anyone who lives near me in Phoenix, come by my house. I'll make this for you anytime, I promise. So, thanks. I'm on my dinner now. Goodbye.